A gas explosion at a Kansas City restaurant leaves several injured and the building leveled.
A local bus company is taking matters into its own hands as it pursues thieves.
And the National Weather Service has issued a winter storm watch through Thursday. KOMU-8 News at 9 starts now.
Live from Studio 8A, coverage you can count on in high definition. This is KOMU-8 News at 9.
An explosion erupts at a Kansas City restaurant, leaving 12 critically injured and 3 still unaccounted for. A vehicle hit a gas line, causing this fireball. Good evening, I'm Michaela Bruner.
And I'm Jim Rick. Thanks for joining us. Firefighters say there was also a second explosion shortly afterwards. This was the scene at JJ's restaurant about 6 o'clock this evening. Flames burned through the roof and black smoke poured into the building. A dozen ambulances were called to the scene. At least 5 of the victims are critically injured. The manager of the restaurant told police 3 people are unaccounted for. He doesn't know if they left before the explosion. The fire was put out about an hour ago. JJ's is one of the longest operating restaurants in Kansas City. It's been running for 27 years.
10 people are at University Hospital in Columbia tonight after a serious crash near North Callaway High School. A Missouri Military Academy van collided with a white SUV off the northbound lane of US 54 around 4:40 this afternoon. The Academy's van was turning left toward North Callaway High School for a boys district basketball game when it struck the northbound vehicle. After the crash, the van wound up next to a telephone pole just off the highway. All 10 people involved in the crash were taken to University Hospital. The 8 passengers from the Academy's van are being treated for minor injuries. The North Callaway Fire Protection District says the passengers from the SUV sustained more serious injuries.
Well, we're keeping an eye on a winter storm that's presently pretty close to the west coast of the good old U.S. of A., but it's going to be heading this way. In anticipation of that, that's why the National Weather Service has issued a winter storm watch that's good through Thursday evening. It doesn't take effect till tomorrow evening, but it'll be good through Thursday for the almost the entire state of Missouri and certainly the entire KOMU-8 viewing area. Present temperatures are cold out there. It's 24 in Mexico, 25 in Boonville, 23 in Fulton, and 26 at the Lake of the Ozarks. Overnight skies will remain clear. That's going to allow temperatures to plummet to about 13 degrees when you're out the door tomorrow morning. More on the forecast coming up on KOMU-8 News at 9.
The owner of a local bus gym business claims over the weekend thieves stole at least $600 worth of equipment from his bus hub, located just feet from 2 large student housing complexes.
KOMU-8's Megan Malaris talked exclusively with the owner of the company and is live in Columbia with the details on what he believed happened. Megan.
Jim and Michaela, I'm here at the Gymnastics Express parking lot where these buses are stationed. Now, all 6 of these buses contain gymnastics equipment and travel to local preschools every day. The owner told me this morning he found that 4 of them wouldn't start. He also found $600 worth of batteries missing. And he noticed this handprint on one of his buses, which he believes belongs to one of the thieves. He said the thief probably opened this hood, took out the battery and those of 3 other buses, and then fled the scene. Now, the owner was able to buy back one of those batteries this morning from this battery retailer, Battery Outfitters, located at Providence and Nebraska Avenue. He recognized the battery based on a handle that had ripped prior to the theft. Battery Outfitters refused the owners and our request to see surveillance video of last weekend's transactions at the store. Battery Outfitters wouldn't tell me anything other than saying it was in contact with the Columbia Police Department, which did not return our calls this afternoon. Meanwhile, Connor said he had to cancel all of his gym bus classes today.
It's really disheartening to find that people would go out and steal and vandalize that way. When it happens to us, it disappoints the kids that we teach because we can't teach that day.
Now, since I left this morning, Connor has installed hasps and locks on his buses. He also advises the students who live in these large apartment complexes right there and behind me to make sure that their car battery compartments are under lock and key. Reporting live in Columbia, Megan Malaris, KOMU 8 News.
Thanks, Megan. A smoother ride may be in the future for Ashland. The Board of Aldermen discussed a new sales tax at its meeting tonight. The Board of Aldermen meeting wrapped up just about an hour ago, and the board passed an ordinance to put a 1/2 of a 1% sales tax on the August 6th ballot. The board says a section of the funds from the tax will be devoted to improving roadways. Roads like these, Henry Clay Boulevard, is where Southern Boone High School sits. Members of the board say the road has been a hot topic and would be one of the first to be prepared if the tax is passed.
Guns were a hot topic today at the Capitol in Jefferson City.
Discussion regarding gun training for teachers and students.
Earlier today, senators debated a bill that recommends students and teachers get training each year in the event of a school shooting. The sponsoring senator, Dan Brown from Raleigh, says the instructions could help save lives. A Democratic state senator from St. Louis County says guns already cause too much violence in urban areas.
There are people who don't care about a black life, and they have legislation such as this that puts our citizens and our communities at risk more than they already are.
If the measure passes the legislature, it will go on the ballot in November 2014. Meanwhile, the Senate General Laws Committee heard a proposal today that would require the state to uphold its citizens' rights to keep and bear arms. Republican Columbia Senator Kurt Schaefer is sponsoring the amendment, which would allow Missourians to own firearms to defend their families, in addition to the defense of home, person, and property. The amendment would also remove language from Missouri's Constitution that the right to bear arms does not justify a person wearing a concealed weapon.
Also in Jefferson City, lawmakers who introduce gun control legislation could end up in prison under a bill introduced by a Missouri House Republican. It would make lawmakers guilty of a felony if they introduce legislation restricting gun rights and, if convicted, serve prison terms up to 4 years. St. Louis County Representative Mike Lira sponsored the bill, saying it's a matter of principle in defense of gun rights. This comes after a Democratic lawmaker proposed getting rid of assault weapons.
Officials at Rockbridge High School unveiled a new multi-million-dollar gymnasium today. The gym features a regulation-sized volleyball and basketball court, and a retractable curtain allows operators to split the gym in half, creating 2 full-size courts side by side. A bond issue paid for the $4.1 million gym. Officials say that the new complex will open up doors for the school's athletic department.
It just expands our opportunities for kids. We have been practicing in one gym. We've been one of the largest high schools in the state practicing in one gym.
Mass says the school will primarily use the new gym for team practices.
Something that you would typically see in the movies happened in real life.
Police are finally figuring out how robbers pulled off one of the biggest diamond heists.
Plus, a place for kids to go after school. We'll meet the woman behind Granny's house.
And I'm tracking a winter storm. We'll give you an idea where it is now and how that's going to be affecting us on Thursday. That's next on KOMU 8 News at 9.
Now, your live Doppler 8 First Alert weather with Chief Weathercaster Dave Schmidt.
Well, good evening to you. Well, if you think it's cold here, check this out. A town in Siberia is known officially as one of the world's coldest places. The lowest temperature ever registered there was 90 degrees below zero. About 500 people actually live in that town, and they seem to go about their everyday routines fairly well. And then the rest of the 8-day forecast looks like it'll be typical wintertime conditions. So we're tracking the storm, and we'll let you know if there's any changes in the accumulation forecast.
13 for a low tonight.
Yes, sir. But
That's
the winds
chilly.
will settle
Sure.
down a bit. That's
Okay. Thanks, Dave. Granny's house is a place where kids in Columbia go after school. Pam Ingram opened the doors to the house at a Columbia public housing neighborhood about a dozen years ago.
KOMU 8's Colin Evans tells us why Ingram is the most well-known grandma in town.
She works hard even when kids aren't around. Her name is Pam Ingram, but the kids who come here call her something else.
Most of the kids call me Granny or Granny Pam.
That's because of her after-school program for youth in Columbia's public housing neighborhood, Granny's House.
Our mission, our official mission, is to nurture and inspire public housing children. To think that over the years, all these hundreds and hundreds of kids that come through the door, there's never been a kid I didn't love.
It's a mutual feeling between Ingram and her honorary grandchildren.
She's basically like a big supporter, and like she like encourages us to do the best that we can, and like we can talk to her almost about anything. So that's like the main thing like that I like about Granny Fam. It's like you can talk to her and she won't like criticize you. She'll give you some constructive criticism, but she won't criticize you.
Ingram says love is a big part of the program's purpose.
Grandmothers are relaxed, they have so much wisdom and love, and they love God, and they love to bake cookies. And we wanted to be an atmosphere of just patience and love and kindness for the kids.
And although the house is empty this day, Granny's work never ends. Colin Evans, KOMU-8 News, Columbia.
Granny's House is supported with donations from the community. For more information, you can visit our website, KOMU.com.
A bombing in Pakistan has protesters taking to the streets.
And a group of hackers linked to the Chinese military have American businesses worried.
A U.S. computer security firm claims a group of hackers linked to the Chinese military engaged in a cyber espionage campaign against many American companies. KOMU-8's Monica Ayala Talavera has more with International Spotlight.
U.S. computer security firm Mandiant Corporation released a report today claiming a hacker group identified as APT1 has stolen hundreds of terabytes of data from 141 companies, more than 110 of them American. According to the report, APT1's activities originated from a People's Liberation Army cyberware division known as Unit 61398. It began its cyber espionage campaign back in 2006. Mandiant goes on to say it believes there is no way APT1 could have been able to wage such a long campaign without Chinese government sponsorship or recognition. In response to the report, China's Foreign Ministry spokesman Hong Li said to make groundless accusations based on some rough material is neither responsible nor professional, and that China resolutely opposes any form of hacking activities. Reports in several different news media cite White House officials repeatedly refusing to discuss how they will respond to these cyber attacks.
Belgium police investigate a diamond heist in Brussels, and a woman whose home was repossessed takes drastic measures.
KOMU-8's Luke Liddon has these stories and more in your look around the world tonight.
Police in Belgium have finally figured out how armed robbers were able to pull off one of the biggest heists yesterday. The robbers made off with $50 million worth of diamonds in Belgium. A Belgian state broadcaster caught the robbers on camera at the scene. The photos show the driver of the security van loading the diamonds onto a plane. Thousands of Shiites met near Qaeda today near the site of last weekend's bombing. The bombing killed 89 people and allegedly targeted minority Shiites. Protesters will not bury bombing victims until the army gains control of the city. Protesters blame the police and paramilitary forces for not protecting the Shiites. And a woman set herself on fire today as part of a protest inside a bank in eastern Spain. She was then airlifted to a hospital where she was treated for her burns. The woman lost her home to bank because she could not make her payments. About 5 mortgage-related suicides were reported in Spain over the last few months. And that's your look around the world tonight.
Florida blew out Mizzou by 31 points in Gainesville earlier this season.
Right, but tonight's game is at Mizzou Arena, and that makes all the difference in the world. Sports is next.
KOMU-8 Sports with Chris Gervino.
Hello, everyone. The 5th-ranked Florida Gators arrived at Mizzou Arena tonight to play the Tigers. Florida, 21-3, beat Mizzou by 31 points last month in Gainesville. Coach Frank Haith of the Tigers and Billy Donovan of the Gators ready to go. Early in the ball game, Alex Oriaki scores inside. He had the first 4 points for Missouri. Florida, though, hitting from downtown, making 4 consecutive three-point shots, including 2 from Mike Rosario, part of a 12-2 run. Gators led Mizzou by a score of 20-9, but Keon Bell, off his 25-point game at Arkansas, scores there. 12 minutes left in the first half. Check this out. Casey Prather, the steal and the slam. And Mizzou committed 12 turnovers in the first half. A couple plays later, the Tigers get a turnover. The steal from Flip Pressey. They head to Lawrence Bowers for the lay-in and a foul. Florida's lead is 6. Check this out. Kenny Boynton, whoa, just missed the layup. 8 minutes to go, though, as you get another look at that unusual play. Donovan would see Boynton nail a 3. He had 6 points in the first half. Former Mizzou wide receiver Jeremy Macklin at the game with some other former Tigers, including Sean Weatherspoon. Lawrence Bowers nails a jumper here, and it's a 9-point game. And then Keon Bell does what he does, makes the steal, and lays it up and in. Tigers trail by 11. Right now they're down by 6 in the second half. It's 38-32 Florida. 15 minutes to go as we update that for you. The Gators have added 4 more points and lead it by 6. The Mizzou women's team will play again Thursday night. The Tigers will host the Tigers from LSU. Mizzou has lost 3 in a row after its upset of Tennessee. The Tigers suffered a 61-40 loss at Arkansas Sunday in their most recent game.
Problem is, I think for each player, it's probably a little bit different. Some of them are pressing a little bit. Some of them don't have the focus that they need to have. Some of them don't have the toughness that they need to have. I mean, it's a little bit different for each player.
I want to put this program on a map, and it starts with getting to postseason, which they haven't done for a long time. So we're trying to build a program here. So yeah, getting to postseason that's going to make it a successful season. That's what our goal was at the beginning of the year.
Big team. They've got a lot of size, 6'5", 6'4", long, athletic zone. So it's going to be a different kind of team that we face pretty much all season long.
High school boys basketball tonight. Moberly leading at Fulton in the second half, and Rockbridge with a big win over Gateway. And over at Mizzou Arena, the Tigers now trail by 8, 40-32 in the second half.
Here's a fast-paced race to get the heart going.
Anytime you've got bulls running through the mud, it's got to be pretty exciting.
About 30 teams met in southern India today to celebrate a harvest festival by racing bulls. Teams made up of 2 bulls and 3 guides that hang on tight while racing at full speed through the water of paddy fields. While guides hang on for dear life, they are also responsible for making sure the bulls do not charge spectators of this fast-paced event.
Coming up on KOMU-8 News at 10.
We'll hear a Sedalia woman story of being trapped at sea on the Carnival cruise ship stuck in the Gulf.
And a winter storm is on the way for Thursday, but in the meantime, it's just going to be cold, down to 13 tomorrow morning. A mostly clear sky. Tomorrow we'll find maybe a few more afternoon clouds with a high temperature right at the freezing point at 32.
Bundle up. All right, that's our time for now. Thanks for joining us.